This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Spreading like fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 729. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Make sure that you check us out over at markinout.com and all those places that you listen to podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, and also iHeartRadio. Buy a t-shirt, please. ProWrestlingTees.com/markinout. Also, give us a like over on Facebook. Give us a follow on TikTok. Yes, TikTok is back. Markinout11. Give us a follow on
Markin Out.
At Markin Out. But Instagram is Markinout11. And Twitter is Markin Out. You can follow me, myself, and I all over the place at DavidPTDPT, as I am Dave the Rave. You can follow Chris at Chris Sweendog on Twitter and CMSweeney85 on Instagram. And you can check out Brandon at BTTG161 on all social media platforms. And today we are going to kick it off with a surprise to new listeners who never listened to the podcast before. Because if you listened before, you know who I'm kicking it to. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing awesome as always. How about yourself?
Doing good. Doing good.
It was quite the scary 14 or 15 hours on Saturday to Sunday.
Was
not
it?
Having TikTok.
Oh, yeah, that must have been very scary for you.
Yeah, my thumb was twitching. It was just scrolling by itself. I posted a video, and then I went back to check on the video, and it was like, brother, we don't exist here anymore.
That's funny. Yeah, I saw on eBay and stuff they were selling cell phones with TikTok loaded onto it.
They still are. GameStop's accepting phones with TikTok on there also.
Really?
Yeah, phones are selling up like $5,000, $10,000.
But if it's in the United States, can't it still be not used, or are these phones purchased from outside of the U.S.?
No. You can use the app if the app is on your phone, but because they removed it from the stores, the store said they're not putting the app back up until it's sold.
Oh, gotcha.
So we're not out of the clear yet with TikTok. I don't know if someone's going to purchase it or if it's going to just go away.
Mm-hmm.
But we have an extension, I guess, for right now.
Gotcha.
Which really sucks. I enjoy going on TikTok and listening to musicians.
Well, who knows? We're allowed to go live now, so maybe we'll get Brandon to go live, or I'll go live at some point. But, hey, let's kick into it. Let's go into Monday Night Raw talk.
Which kicked off with Jey Uso, and he went to talk about Saturday night's main event, but he was interrupted by Gunther, who basically ran Jey Uso down. And Jey took what Gunther was saying, and I guess kind of turned it into like a rally for the fans. And he told Gunther to put respect on his name. And then Gunther went to attack Jey Uso. Well, I guess he did attack Jey Uso. And then Gunther ended up leaving after they brawled. So Jey Uso was about to get the upper hand there. He touched the title. Big mistake. Not supposed to do that before you have a big match at Saturday night's main event. And I'm pulling for Jey Uso to have that Eddie Guerrero-esque victory where Bill Goldberg shows up and then spears Gunther.
I cannot see that happening.
I mean,
it's
rumored. I don't know if it was announced or what, but Goldberg was supposed to be on Monday Night Raw coming up when it's in Georgia.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. We have Ilya Dragunov coming back off the injury list very soon too.
Yeah, but he has nothing to do with Goldberg.
No, but
Gunther has everything to do with Goldberg.
I don't want to see that. Who wants to see that? What is that going to set up?
A retirement match for Goldberg.
Okay.
Gunther.
So wait,
in a perfect
are you
world,
saying
in a perfect world, Jey Uso gets that championship like Eddie Guerrero did, and that sets up Goldberg and Gunther. This way, you don't have Goldberg in a championship match.
I do not see Jey Uso going into the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania time as champion. But
I don't know. I mean, he touched the title.
That at all.
That's a guaranteed. You're not getting the championship, so.
Yeah, I can't see him defeating Gunther, but I do like your idea because I think the biggest thing that we've spoken about on the podcast, and it's been out there, that Goldberg wants like an official retirement match, like what Sting had and Kurt Angle and stuff like that. Even though Kurt Angle should come out of retirement and have one more match. No offense to Baron Corbin. But we know we want Chad Gable versus Kurt Angle. But to have Gunther versus Goldberg for a retirement match, that could be something big.
Also, I'm almost certain Goldberg should be on Monday Night Raw this coming week.
I don't know.
So it would make sense with the setup, but I don't know. I definitely don't want to see Goldberg.
I mean, if he was champion,
I don't want to see him wrestling
it could
for the
be
championship.
I feel like it wouldn't be. What's between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania?
Elimination Chamber.
Anything else?
A Saturday night's main event, maybe? Raw at the Garden?
Not Money in the Bank, right?
No.
Maybe Gunther versus Goldberg at... No, I feel like it has to happen at WrestleMania, no?
Yeah, that's perfect setup at Saturday night's main event.
True.
So...
Huh.
First match of Monday Night Raw saw Rey Mysterio pick up the victory over Kofi Kingston. Earlier, they showed New Day ask JBL to be on their side when he's on commentary for this match. And JBL, I guess, sarcastically makes it seem like he was on their side, but he's putting over Big E while doing so. So they saw through that, and they scoffed at it and left. And when New Day came out for this match, they had production cut off their theme. They had production cut off their trons. Kofi Kingston is wrestling in what, I don't want to say street clothes, but...
I would say that's street attire because they're not even allowed to change in the locker room anymore.
Yeah, so I guess technically it would be. He was wrestling in, I guess, jeans?
Yeah, it goes exactly with everything that they've been saying. They can't change in the locker room any longer. So... they're wrestling in what they have.
Also, on the topic of gear, I liked Rey Mysterio's Netflix gear. I thought that was pretty cool.
I didn't see it.
But Kofi Kingston, I mean, you obviously saw it if you saw it.
Oh, obviously I saw it. I don't remember. I don't remember it. I mean.
But Kofi Kingston poked Rey Mysterio in the eyes at one point, which gave Kofi the upper hand. Xavier Woods, in front of the referee, tripped Rey Mysterio when he was going for the 619. And the referee kicked Xavier Woods. I believe Rey Mysterio hit him off the apron. And Kofi went to take advantage of that, but Rey Mysterio, he countered, hits that 619. Kofi gets his knees up after the attempt of the splash from Rey Mysterio. And when Kofi Kingston went for that SOS, Rey Mysterio held on and pinned him. To my knowledge, I don't know how many times we've seen that happen, but I appreciated the SOS being turned into a pin like that.
I agree. It was a very... if somebody's going to do it, I also think it's really cool that it's Rey Mysterio, especially considering that he's a legend in technical aspect and knows the game for so long. So for him to do something like that to get the victory. Otherwise, I feel like Kofi could have used the victory over Rey Mysterio. But I'm curious to see where this is going to put Kofi next week.
Well, I mean, New Day got the upper hand there. Afterwards, Xavier Woods attacked Rey Mysterio. Kofi Kingston joined in. You had Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro chase them off, and then New Day very sneakily ran back around and attacked them, and they took Joaquin Wilde out. So this is still going to lead to that big who will Rey Mysterio team with. I assume we're still going to get that match. Everyone was talking trash about Triple H keeping Dragon Lee off TV. He just had a kid. So congratulations to him and his family.
Yeah, so bam roasted to everybody bashing that.
Yeah, so who will we see? Assuming we'll see Rey Mysterio team up with somebody to take on New Day. We have to find that out. After that, we had Sami Zayn come out, basically declare for the Royal Rumble. And he mentioned what Seth Rollins had said to him last week. And he said that he doesn't need the World Championship because he has the fans backing, but he wants the championship. And then Kevin Owens came out, and Sammy thought he was going to take him out just like everyone else that he's been going after from War Games. And Kevin Owens was like, nah, this situation is different. And he drew parallels from their friendship to Sammy's friendship to Roman Reigns. And he said that he knows Sami Zayn can and will win the Royal Rumble. And he brought up the idea of main eventing WrestleMania. Like, we main evented WrestleMania together. It would be incredible if we main evented WrestleMania one-on-one for the WWE Championship. Mm-hmm. Which Kevin Owens kind of hinted at wanting Sami Zayn's help at the Royal Rumble against Cody Rhodes. I don't necessarily see that, but I would 100% be all for Kevin Owens winning the WWE Championship from Cody Rhodes officially at the Royal Rumble. And then B, Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble, because it's not, even though Sami Zayn has already been to the main event of WrestleMania and we've seen Sami Zayn on TV for years now, it would still be such an unexpected victory for somebody like Sami Zayn versus somebody who we all picked, CM Punk, to go out there and win the Royal Rumble. Like when Drew McIntyre won that Royal Rumble, it could have very easily been Roman Reigns to throw him out. It could have very easily, that just like that, that's that WWE mindset, boom, Roman Reigns. We're going to just give it to Roman Reigns. And I'm not going to be disappointed when CM Punk wins if he does. But if Sami Zayn were to do that, I would be very pleasantly surprised. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see with that. After that, we saw Nia Jax pick up the victory over Bayley, who is now officially part of the Monday Night Raw roster. She also declared for the Royal Rumble. And at the start of the show, we saw Nia Jax attack Rhea Ripley. So I thought we were going to see Rhea Ripley show up during this match. I'll put a pin in that. We also had Roxanne Perez sitting ringside for this match. And at one point, she went to slap Bayley. Bayley ends up blocking it, slaps her. And she gets dragged out. She hits a sweet chin music on a random fan sitting ringside.
Totally took her out.
The woman takes a bump. That was I hope she was okay, but that was hilarious. Sorry.
I mean, the way that she took that bump, too, just
she fell
going
over.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Full.
But
she totally Shawn Michaels that one.
But Nia Jax controlled a lot of this match. I think Bayley was definitely hurting from everything. And she had her little comeback. Nia Jax able to pick up that win with the Annihilator, though.
Yeah.
I did like when Bayley hit the Annihilator on Nia Jax earlier in the match.
Yeah, that was a cool spot. What's really cool about Bayley is she's appeared on, I believe it's like 5.
I think it was 6 straight shows.
6 straight shows, yeah. Who knows? Maybe we're going to get 7.
No, probably not.
You don't think?
No, because she's officially on Monday Night Raw now. I don't think she'll be on SmackDown.
True.
But Rhea Ripley showed up after that match and brawled with Nia Jax, and it was broken up. And Rhea Ripley laid out that challenge to Nia Jax for Saturday night's main event. And that gets made official.
Next up, you had Penta coming out to defeat Pete Dunne. Penta's entrance, they switched it up, and I love the fireworks circle behind him.
Goodness. First of all, again, seeing Penta on WWE TV is so cool. But his entrance,
it's so weird.
It has a lot more pyro. The fire is obviously different. It's like a fire pit sort of thing. Kind of esque sort of situations behind him. And then that sparkler, like you said, that goes in circles. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, the aspect of, I feel like the circular fireworks behind him with his black and white mask and everything like that, looks really, really cool.
And it was very interesting to see the footage that they released of Triple H rehearsing Penta's entrance from the other week.
Yeah, seeing that entrance and stuff and him cueing him, and then seeing the video of Penta backstage after saying thank you and kind of seeing everybody.
Yeah.
That was a cool clip.
This match, very surprising to hear Rev Pro mentioned. Previously, Pete Dunne and Penta faced off in Rev Pro. Mercedes Moné is currently a champion of Rev Pro. So hearing that on WWE programming where there's an AEW wrestler holding a championship for them was very interesting. But like last week, again, this match was very entertaining.
I agree. It makes me excited for Monday Night Raw this week.
This
upcoming week.
I liked Pete Dunne's sell of the sacrifice. Very similar to what Pete Dunne uses. We saw...
With the snapping of the finger.
We saw Chad Gable go to Dominic for help with his luchador problem after his loss last week. And Dom said that he knows someone that can help Chad Gable. And some people are speculating Aleister Black because Chad Gable said he can master the dark arts of Lucha Libre. And he and Zelina Vega own the Dark Arts Academy. I don't think it's going to be Aleister Black. I feel like, what does he have to do with Lucha?
I mean, it is fun speculation. I mean...
Conan would be cool. Conan, I should say. I saw some people throwing out Vampiro's name, and I think that would be really cool to see him training Chad Gable. And he's actually tied to Lucha Libre. He's tied to Dark Arts.
I feel like, Dark Arts is Black and Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, but then also Lucha-wise, you have the Zelina Vega connected with Dominic. So maybe that's the connection more so than
but that would make no sense because then that's Zelina Vega turning on the LWO. I don't know if that'll be a thing, but if it's Conan, if it's Vampiro, they better damn well be in 2K25. Doubt it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see. I don't know if this will eventually tie back into Dominic facing or Chad Gable facing Penta again. I don't know. But
is there anybody else that has signed with WWE that we don't know of that's Lucha?
Like Dark Arts related,
know.
I can't think of anybody though. It makes it seem like it has to be like unless it's just going to be Santos Escobar or something, which in turn wouldn't really make sense because they're over on SmackDown as like faces, kind of at this point.
Yeah.
So I can't think of who would like it. If you're going to have somebody train somebody, I feel like in that aspect where Chad Gable, somebody who's at like the top of his game, is looking to get training from somebody, it has to be a legend that's like far out from WWE's past.
Technically, you can go with Aleister Black. He had his huge feud with Andrade and stuff like that at NXT.
But again, I really don't see that being Aleister Black. Because that brings him out as a heel, but I feel like the crowd is just going to want to cheer for that.
I view him always as a tweener. He's kind of like a Kevin Owens kind of a character where he could be a heel, but you're going to cheer him on anyways.
After that, CM Punk was interviewed in the crowd. I thought that was a good location to have interviews. But Jackie Redmond interviewed him about the Royal Rumble. I feel like this was a pretty standard promo from CM Punk, but he went through a list of names that are going to be in the Royal Rumble, basically saying why he can beat them, why he's better than them. Completely trashed Hulk Hogan, and it led to speculation that Hogan's about to be in the Royal Rumble.
Apparently that was all pure unscripted, too.
Big dirt sheet guy over here, huh?
You know it.
I really don't want to see Hulk Hogan in the Royal Rumble, and I hope they don't put Hulk Hogan in the Royal Rumble.
They are putting him over a lot with the main event.
And it's funny that he's been
event.
Very well advertised for Saturday Night's main event. Jesse Ventura had not been advertised since he said he's going to be on every Saturday Night's main event, since the last Saturday Night's main event. He just tweeted this week now finally saying, I'll be at Saturday Night's main event. So we've yet to see the two of them in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
After that, we saw Damage Control pick up the victory over PFC. For me, the spot of the night on Monday Night Raw was that drop kick from Zoe to Dakota Kai. Right at the beginning of the match. Super well done. Everyone talks about how trash Zoe Stark, how boring Zoe Stark is. That was like, how do you watch that and say, oh, she's boring?
Those drop kicks.
It was perfect.
It looked stiff as all hell.
I liked when she Irish whipped Io into the ropes and then she did a suicide dive onto Shayna Baszler. I thought that was nice. But Io ended up hitting a moonsault on Zoe Stark to pick up the victory. I was surprised that in my head, it makes sense at the same time, but I was surprised that PFC didn't try to attack Damage Control afterwards. But we've had so many pull-aparts recently with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So it also, at the same sense, made sense that they weren't going to do that with Damage Control and PFC. But the main event of Monday Night Raw saw Seth Rollins pick up the victory over Drew McIntyre. Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins spoke backstage. In the back, did you see Karrion Kross lurking back there?
No, I missed it.
Karrion Kross was lurking back there. I don't know what he's got his eyes on. This match...
You know, if he's close to somebody, he's trying to shift the brain of somebody over there.
Perhaps Sami Zayn? I don't know. But what'd you think about this match?
I thought it was a solid match. I like the ending. I know that the ending was kind of very similar to the last time they were in action or one of their previous matches. But I thought that it was a good match. It was a good way to end Monday Night Raw. I just hope that Drew McIntyre losing doesn't place him in a bad place.
I don't know. It was definitely a hard-hitting match, but I was kind of surprised I couldn't get into it. I wasn't into this match. Seth Rollins won this with a jackknife pin. And then immediately afterwards, Drew McIntyre attacked him. And Seth tried to fight him off. He got hit with a Claymore. Everything from like the jackknife pin and on I enjoyed. Or I shouldn't say everything from the jackknife pin because like maybe the last 5 minutes or so of the match I enjoyed. But like a majority of this match I couldn't get into. After that Claymore, Sami Zayn ran down and attacked Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre ends up taking Sami Zayn out. Drew gets back into the ring, goes to threaten Seth Rollins, and Sami Zayn accidentally hits a haluva kick onto Seth Rollins. So maybe Karrion Kross is influencing somebody there. I don't know.
It's possible.
So that's Monday Night Raw. Gonna touch on TNA Genesis for a quick second before we move over to NXT, just because it did feature NXT. You had Ariana Grace appear on the kickoff show. She kind of introduced Ashanti the Adonis, who issued an open challenge. And he ends up wrestling Jake something. He picks up the victory there. I would have popped if it was Top Dollar facing Ashanti. You had the Hardy Boys pick up the victory over the Rascals to retain the TNA Tag Team Championships. Fraxium came out and watched this ringside. The Rascals also accidentally took Fraxium out, and it led to them defending the championships on this week's live TNA. So I thought that was really cool. On NXT, you had Briggs and Inamura pissed off that the Rascals were getting a title shot before them. OTM showed up and brawled with them backstage at NXT. But Masha Slamovich picked up the victory over Rosemary in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match to retain the championship. Cora Jade showed up. I said last week she's very much so eyeing that championship when Masha was on NXT.
You called it. What I didn't know is that Cora Jade has a history of hardcore matches.
Yeah. The first time I noticed her was from GCW, really. She did stuff from AEW Dark. I think she might have been on like 2 or 3 matches. But the reason why I knew who she was from her standing out against other people was GCW.
I have to go back and look. I can't even put a picture or anything, but her and Roxanne Perez were on Busted Open, and they were talking about it with Bully Ray, and I didn't realize that she was a deathmatch. She has death matches in her history, so who knows? Maybe her and Slamovich will go at it with it.
I want to say right on the boardwalk in Atlantic City.
Yeah, she mentioned about how she brought out a coffin filled with glass
against Jimmy Lloyd. That's the match that I think really put her on the map, and that maybe got the ball rolling to get her signed into WWE.
I can't even think about it. I have to after I heard it earlier today, I have to go back. Well, I have to go to YouTube and find it just to watch a highlight video or something about it.
Yeah. And then the main event, Joe Hendry picked up the victory over Nick Nemeth to win the TNA Championship. The very first thing he did, like he said he was going to do, was go out on Busted Open and he challenged John Cena. I spoke a few weeks ago. Maybe we see John Cena at Slammiversary.
That'd be huge.
Maybe we see John Cena at Slammiversary.
That would be huge.
Yeah. That would be incredible.
I mean, I could definitely think about Phenomenal. Maybe AJ Styles is going to be there.
Yeah, but I don't know. See, yeah, I mean, if you're putting John Cena on the table, I was going to say the whole relationship between TNA has been with NXT, but once you put John Cena on the table, you have to put AJ Styles on the table also.
I would say if you're having, I mean, you know what? You don't need AJ Styles just now because this is what they signed a 5 or 10 year.
I don't know.
They signed a multi-year partnership, so there's no reason to rush AJ Styles to over there. But obviously, John Cena's time is limited.
Yeah,
so I put him on there.
His time is now.
That is right. His time is almost up.
And then on top of all of that, you had Jordynne Grace lose to Tessa Blanchard. That's her final appearance, I guess, in TNA. You had Josh Alexander lose an I Quit match to Mike Santana. And then he quit TNA also. He's contractually obligated to have been on TNA TV this week. But it seems like that's both of their outs to go to, I assume, WWE.
Yeah, I haven't seen it or heard anything about Alexander, but we're going to see what happens.
So that's TNA Genesis. Moving over to NXT, it opened with Tony D'Angelo picking up the victory over Ridge Holland to retain the championship. They mentioned, I should say Vic Joseph, I think it was, mentioned, if it wasn't Vic, it was Corey. Corey Graves is back, by the way, saying there's no place he'd rather be than NXT or something like that. But they mentioned Booker T being a TNA Legends champion, which was just not something I expected to hear on TV in WWE in 2025.
It's going to be a crazy year.
If you don't know the Legends Championship, that was also later on the Global Championship, the Television Championship, and then the King of the Mountain Championship before it was retired.
Was the Legends Championship with the, what was it, the
Main Event Mafia?
Yeah, the main event. Was that with them?
I'm almost certain it was.
TNA, I want to binge watch TNA back in the day because they really did have a stacked roster, and they had a lot of great matches back then.
I'd rather have chapters.
What do you mean?
Throughout the TNA history, I'd rather have chapters than watching it all in one shot. There's a reason why. I mean, we were very, very excited when they went live head-to-head with Monday Night Raw. And then it was like, oh, well, we had hopes.
Yeah, we could stop at the time where AJ Styles was having his feud with that girl who said that he... Yeah. So we could stop at that point. But even before that, I mean, you have so many people showing up at TNA that you would have never even expected have had a match in TNA.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But Sean Spears came out to watch this match, and that distracted Tony D'Angelo. Brooks Jensen and Nico Vance brawled with the D'Angelos. And then behind the referee's back, Izzy Dame kicked Ridge Holland in the head. And that led to Tony D'Angelo getting that victory. And Izzy Dame said, we're even now. I thought for sure we were going to be seeing Izzy Dame join Shawn Spears' group. Now I don't know where she fits. Like, is she about to join the D'Angelo family also? I guess probably not. She said we're even.
Yeah, I can't see her join them.
I don't know what happens with that. But later on, you had Brooks Jensen and Nico Vance off of this match with Tony D'Angelo, off of that brawling, pick up the victory over the D'Angelo family. This started before the bell rang. It was very chaotic. In the end, we saw Nico Vance make a blind tag after Brooks Jensen hit a wheel kick. And Vance rocked him with that major clothesline to pick up the victory.
Yeah.
If we're booking Mark Dream matches, I really kind of wish that we would see John Cena somehow face Brooks Jensen, given John Cena's history with B Squared, Bull Buchanan.
I was trying to figure out why, but now I get it.
But I guess that won't happen.
I don't think so.
After that, we had Bayley come out, and she brought up what Roxanne said last week on NXT. And she said that NXT doesn't owe her anything. It doesn't owe Roxanne Perez anything. And she owes NXT to get rid of Roxanne Perez, who's being entitled. And she brought up Roxanne showing up on SmackDown last week. She brought up Roxanne showing up on Monday Night Raw. And then, instead of Roxanne Perez coming out, the NXT Women's Champion, Julia, showed up. And Julia said that she looks up to Bayley. In Japan, she watched Bayley. And she looks up to her. She hopes to hold the championship with as much honor for NXT as Bayley had. And then Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade came out. The boos were insane. They could not get a single word in at some points.
Yeah. It was awesome hearing that booze rain down on them.
Cora Jade said that nobody can carry the championship like Roxanne Perez can. And Roxanne tried to say Bayley was the only reason that Bayley was there was for that women's championship, to suck the energy or whatever out of the life out of NXT, because she's not doing anything on Raw, she's not doing anything on SmackDown. Why not come to NXT and take their championship? And it turned into a brawl. Match gets set up for next week, a tag match. Live in Atlanta.
Yeah. It'll be awesome.
Also, during that brawl, they cut to backstage. Carmen Petrovic and Jada Parker got involved. They started brawling with one another. So later on, we had that match where Carmen Petrovic picked up the victory over Jada Parker. I thought it was a pretty solid match.
I think both. I've said it many times, but the NXT, the women on that roster, incredible potential.
Yeah, and it was nice to see Petrovic again. It's been a bit.
Yeah, but Petrovic has so much potential. And Jada Parker, same thing. D1 athlete right there.
Kalani Jordan tried to get involved, but Jada Parker blocked that, and Carmen Petrovic rolled her up to get that victory there. Yeah. What wasn't mentioned on commentary, very surprised, they didn't mention, I feel like they should have, on TNA Genesis, Ashanti the Adonis kind of hit on Ariana Grace. I feel like if Carmen Petrovic is on NXT TV making out with Ashanti the Adonis, how do you not bring that up? And she's calling him her man. How do you not bring that up?
Something's gotta come of it. But next up, you had Wes Lee pick up the victory over Dion Lennox.
This also stemmed from a backstage spat. Wes Lee.
Everything's happening from backstage. Just don't go backstage.
Yeah, Wes Lee was talking trash. Trick Williams slapped the ever-loving hell out of Wes Lee. He came out. I have to assume that was a shoot handprint. He had a handprint on his face.
He slapped him so hard as if he owed him money.
Was that not, like, that had to have been real, right?
Oh, yeah. That had to have been.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
But Dion controlled some of this match. There was just no way that Wes Lee was losing. And then Wesley challenged Trick Williams for next week. Trick Williams came out to fight him, and that was that.
I mean, obviously, Trick is going to win, I feel. Wesley would benefit from the win, though. But I can't see Trick losing back-to-back.
We'll see.
Next up, you had Lexis King pick up the victory over Charlie Dempsey to retain the Heritage Cup.
Pretty even in round one. There were some good pin attempts and from both of them. After the first round, though, the camera showed Lexis King did not have a corner man. And the camera just happened to pan into Lexis King's spit bucket to reveal that he had brass knucks with him.
Ooh.
Lexis King, unrelated to those brass knucks, got a win during the commercial break in round 2. And then with about 30 seconds left in round 3, Charlie Dempsey tied it up. And after that round, Lexis King, I guess, contemplated using those brass knucks. He put them on his fist, thought about it, took a beat, put them back into the bucket, and he ends up taking out no quarter catch crew. The referee was distracted in the corner with that, and Lexis King low-blowed Charlie Dempsey before hitting the coronation to pick up that win. So we see Charlie Dempsey accidentally get low-blowed 1 week, and now he's actually getting low-blowed. Is that a heel thing to do in this situation, in this scenario?
100%.
Well, I don't want to say is that a heel thing. Yes, that's a heel tactic, but does that come off as a heel thing? I don't think so.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think that everything that Regal has been trying to mull over with Lexis King, maybe he's taking to it. You know, I could see next week, maybe we see something, or before next week, something backstage with Lexis King and with Regal in regards to him starting to pick up on his training.
He's going to pee in Charlie Dempsey's coffee. Tea, I should say, not coffee.
It's possible. Never say never in WWE.
After that, we had Ethan Page come out, and he said he didn't want to do what he did to Dante Chen. He brought up what he did to Cedric Alexander, what he did to Javon Evans, and he told him that it won't be one punch if Javon comes for him again. This time he's not going to stop. And then Javon tried to get Ava to make a match, and she's like, absolutely not, you're not cleared. But Cedric is, and Cedric walked in. That gets set up for next week, Cedric versus Ethan Page. Gotta say, I chuckled. I forgot what the tweet was. I feel like I should pull up the tweet from Cedric Alexander, because the Hurt Business won the championships, the AEW Tag Team Championships, and Cedric tweeted, "Make it hurt." And obviously that's a reference to the Hurt Business winning the tag team titles. Ethan Page, though, quote tweeted and just wrote, "Okay." So I think that's really funny because it ties into their match where Ethan Page is probably going to hurt Cedric Alexander.
Could.
And something tells me Cedric is not going to get even on behalf of Javon Evans in that match. In the main event of NXT, we saw Oba Femi pick up the victory over Eddie Thorpe to retain the NXT Championship. A-Town Down Under was there, and they had spoke to Ava earlier. That sets up where the winner will be on the Grayson Waller effect, which obviously now we know is Oba Femi. He'll be a guest on A-Town on the Grayson Waller effect. DDP was also ringside for this match. I thought that was cool to see. But Oba Femi, I think, very expectedly controlled a lot of this match. It wasn't one-sided, but even, towards the end of the match, Eddie Thorpe reversed Oba Femi. He hit that big elbow drop, and he went to kick Oba Femi in the corner, but Oba Femi caught him, tossed him, hit the fall from grace to pick up that victory. And then we see Trick Williams show up, and Eddie Thorpe went to attack him, but Trick Williams rocked him with the trick shot. So everyone kind of right now, Trick Williams, Wes Lee, Obafemi, all circling one another. Eddie Thorpe, still kind of, but probably not anymore.
Yeah, I would say Eddie Thorpe is kind of written out of there
Actually,
now.
maybe that's how Wes Lee gets that win next week. Maybe Eddie Thorpe causes Trick Williams to lose.
Could
I think
be.
we have a winner there, folks.
Yeah, could keep Thorpe in the fold of everything, too, by that.
But that is NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. It opened up with Cody Rhodes, and he was asked about Saturday night's main event. He put Shawn Michaels over. He said he has absolutely no problem handing over his championship to HBK. He put Kevin Owens over, but he said that Kevin Owens always takes the easy way out. 10 out of 10 times he'll take the easy way out. And that with a ladder match, it's good because there's no referees there to get in the way of anything, to make any sort of excuses for Kevin Owens. I do think, given the segment that's going to be taking place at Saturday night's main event, I feel like this was kind of pointless. So I'll put a pin in that segment. Motor City Machine Guns picked up the victory over Pretty Deadly. I think Pretty Deadly did a good job at controlling the beginning of this match and holding Chris Sabin holding Chris Sabin in the ring away from Alex Shelley. Sabin finally got the hot tag. Alex Shelley took over. They went for the Skull and Bones, I think a version of it. Chris Sabin was on top. I don't know if that's interchangeable or what. But Elton Prince ends up pushing Alex Shelley into the ropes to crotch Chris Sabin. They eventually take over again and hit Skull and Bones to pick up that win. You had B-Fab and Mia Yim pick up the victory over Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. This match was way too short. You have a 3-hour show, and I don't even know how long this match was, but this was not what this match should have been. Mia Yim ends up winning with Eat Defeat on Chelsea. Later on, the four of them met backstage, and Mia Yim said that she's getting one more shot via Nick Aldis next week at that U.S. Championship. I think people were thinking that was maybe going to be on Saturday night's main event, but we have that match set for SmackDown next week. You had another Charlotte vignette air where she said that a real GOAT does not have to call themselves the GOAT, and I could swear to God she calls herself the GOAT. So that part didn't work for me. Again, like last week, though, it was a very well done segment. It came before Tiffany Stratton 2 weeks in a row. I feel like that's just planting the seeds for WrestleMania. I hope that doesn't mean Charlotte's winning the Royal Rumble. She declared that she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. A lot of people are like, why didn't they save that for a surprise? I'm kind of glad that they didn't. After that, you had Tiffany Stratton come out, and she spoke about the Royal Rumble, and she said that she's not worried because she beat Bayley, who won the Royal Rumble. And then Rhea Ripley showed up and reminded her that she's also champion. And she brought up Nia Jax, and then Nia Jax and Candice LeRae came out. Nia declared for the Royal Rumble. And then she said that when she wins at Saturday night's main event, she'll go on to win the Royal Rumble as the champion, and then she'll challenge Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania and take her title. Bianca Belair and Naomi came out. They declared for the Rumble. Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan came out. Liv Morgan declared for the Royal Rumble. And then Rhea Ripley headbutted her, and it turned into a brawl. And Nick Aldis came out, set up a match where Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, and Liv Morgan picked up the victory over Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair and Naomi. Even though this was a random match, I'm glad that it got time. Like, so much more time than that other match. But it was a bit chaotic. I liked Rhea Ripley hitting the Riptide on Liv Morgan onto Nia Jax. But in the end, Bianca Belair hit the KOD on Candice LeRae. Liv Morgan was the legal competitor, and she rolled Bianca Belair up with a quick victory there. After that, Apollo Crews picked up the victory over Johnny Gargano. It's been 4 months, I think, since we've seen Apollo Crews wrestle, so it was nice to see him in the ring. Ciampa got involved when the referee was distracted. And then Motor City Machine Guns came out. and that distracted Johnny Gargano. Gargano lost to a quick roll-up. Later on, we found out that at the Royal Rumble, Motor City Machine Guns got a 2 out of 3 falls match signed by Nick Aldis for those tag team championships. So I am very excited to see that match. I mean, DIY Motor City Machine Guns one-on-one, or not one-on-one, but a normal tag team match, I should say, is already like exciting. Make it 2 out of 3 falls. Fantastic. I'm pumped for that. You had LA Knight pick up the victory over Tama Tonga. I liked the promo from the Bloodline beforehand. This was a lot of fighting outside the ring, and that lost me. Tama Tonga worked on LA Knight's leg throughout the match, and Knight at one point tried to lift Tama Tonga up for a move, but his leg gave out, so I liked that inclusion. But Jacob Fatu got involved. Tama Tonga tried to get a quick win off of that, but LA Knight kicked out. He hit the BFT, picked up the win there. And then Jacob Fatu attacked LA Knight, hit that Samoan drop on the commentary table. And before anything, I guess, major could happen, Braun Strowman came out, made the save, ends up throwing Jacob Fatu out of the ring, hyping up Saturday night's main event. You had Damian Priest pick up the victory over Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes was supposed to face Jimmy Uso. That match was changed. I'll get to that in a second. Nick Aldis offered an opponent who was traded to SmackDown, and Carmelo Hayes was like, I need to see who it is first. And then that turned out to be Damian Priest, who's now officially part of SmackDown. Miz was also traded to SmackDown, and he tried to get 8-Town Down Under on his side, and then Nick Aldis informed them that they have been traded to Monday Night Raw, so I thought that was pretty funny. I partly expected this to be a quick match, but Carmelo Hayes was able to gain the advantage when they went to the outside. It was a pretty even match. Damian Priest eventually hit that South of Heaven to pick up the victory, though. Earlier in the night, you had Kevin Owens interrupt Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett to ask where his interview was. Cody Rhodes had it. I put a pin in it. And then he turned his attention to Matthew McConaughey, who was sitting ringside. Jimmy showed up and brawled with Kevin Owens. And he rolled out before an Uso splash. That is where Carmelo Hayes' match got screwed up. And then Jimmy Uso got put into that situation. In a perfect world, we would have seen Matthew McConaughey lock in an Iron Claw in that segment. But before the main event, Jimmy, I guess, kind of taunted Carmelo Hayes backstage. And they discussed a match. They're going to be wrestling next week. Carmelo Hayes ended up attacking Jimmy during his entrance. And then for the actual match, Kevin Owens picked up the victory over Jimmy Uso. Mark Henry and Michelle McCool were ringside for this. I popped at Kevin Owens wearing a Naomi t-shirt. But this match had a lot of outside the ring fighting. It kind of made me think maybe they were doing this because of the celebrities that were ringside, like McConaughey. Shane Gillis was there, Tony Hinchcliffe as well. So I don't know if that factored into it or not. I would have preferred less outside the ring stuff. I liked when Jimmy Uso at one point hopped over Kevin Owens when Kevin Owens attempted a pop-up powerbomb. But the match continued. A lot of super kicks were thrown. Kevin Owens eventually hit that pop-up powerbomb, picked up the victory. Afterwards, he went to hit a package pile driver on the commentary table to Jimmy. Cody Rhodes made the save. They brawled. Like I said before, I think it would have been perfect if McConaughey locked in an Iron Claw. You didn't even need Cody there, but it sets up Saturday night's main event. They have a contract signing with Shawn Michaels. I really don't know why any of that stuff on SmackDown was necessary. But we'll see what happens with that. Like I said, Saturday night's main event taking place in San Antonio at the Frostbank Center. You have Gunther taking on Jey Uso for that World Heavyweight Championship that we spoke about earlier. I would really like to see Jey Uso win by ways of Goldberg. I probably won't happen. I'm gonna say Gunther probably retains that. For the Intercontinental Championship, Braun Breaker defending the title against Sheamus. I feel like it has to be Sheamus at this point. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'm gonna pull for Sheamus in this. You have Braun Strowman taking on Jacob Fatu. I think it's obviously going to be Jacob Fatu. And then for the Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley defending that title against Nia Jax. Rhea Ripley. So that's Saturday night's main event. Going to take a quick little break right now, and we'll be right back here on Markin Out.
This is Austin Theory, and you're listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out, episode 729. AEW Collision kicked off last week with Hangman Adam Page picking up the victory over the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels in a Texas death match. I feel like there was nothing outside of the ending, there was nothing to that match for me. You had the spots with the barbed wire, you had blood, you had the barbed wire table, you had other weapons. I feel like that's all to be expected. Christopher Daniels put Hangman through a table off the middle rope. That started a little comeback for him. He hit the Angel's wings. 2 best moonsault evers. And then Hangman ends up hitting the Deadeye. He hits the buckshot to the back of Christopher Daniels' neck, I guess. And then after the match, he hit the Angel's wings on him. I feel like that buildup did not warrant a Texas death match. I would have preferred a lot more. And obviously the internet after that was like, oh, this is Christopher Daniels' retirement match. Which, not to skip ahead, it seems like it 100% might have been. He looked great in the match. So it sucks that, to me, the match was boring. And that's going to be the last time we ever see him wrestle. I really hope that's not the case. But I'll put a pin in that. You had Undisputed Era pick up the victory over Shane Taylor Promotions back in March. I really thought we'd see a push with the infantry after Carly Bravo and Shawn Dean got a very surprising victory over the House of Black. And then nothing happened with them. So why would this match, this match is a nothing match also. Afterwards, Shane Taylor took out the whole group by himself. That makes Undisputed Era to me look very bad. Then Matt Menard stood up to yell at them. Daniel Garcia jumped in the fight. Then the 4 of them took him down. Undisputed Era thanked the 2 of them and said that they wish there was a 3rd member so that they could have a competition or something like that. And then that sets up Angelo Parker's return for Collision this week, I believe, which I guess obviously I'll speak about next week. You had the Don Callis family pick up the victory over Top Flight. Top Flight is back to looking like it's 2021. Nigel even said something about how the Don Callis family made Top Flight look like rookies. That's a huge step backwards to me. You had Action Andretti and Leo Rush come out afterwards. Leo Rush attacked Top Flight by himself, I believe. They came out looking like the Legion of Doom shoulder pads. After that, you had Max Caster come out, and he called out Anthony Bowens. And he said that the biggest issue between them is that Bowens won't admit that he's the best wrestler alive. And then Anthony Bowens ran Max Caster down. He brought up being wrestling's 5-tool player, which I pop for. I feel like, I don't know if he's used that in AEW. He might have back in the AEW dark days. But I'm all for this run of Anthony Bowens being that 5-tool player. Billy Gunn came out, and Max Caster said that Billy never cared about either of them. And then he made Anthony Bowens choose between him, and he chose between Billy Gunn. Bowens chose Billy Gunn. The Acclaimed is done. So if we get a big push for Bowens, I'm all for that. You had Okada pick up the victory over Ishii to retain the championship. This match was, for me, about 8 minutes too long. You had Okada rake Ishii's eyes in front of the referee. The referee could not care less. Later, he brought the title into the ring so that when the referee was distracted with that, he could low blow Ishii and get the victory off of that. Dustin Rhodes picked up the victory over Adam Priest. This was literally just a match to get Dustin Rhodes on TV, I think. I would assume maybe be in the build-up for the Jeff Jarrett stuff. He wasn't on Dynamite this week. I would have thought for sure he would have been, but I'll put a pin in that also. You had Julia Hart pick up the victory over Harley Cameron. The only match worth watching from Collision was this. And I wish this match was a lot longer. Very much so, this match could have been and should have been longer. The main event saw Powerhouse Hobbs, Rated FTR, and the Outrunners pick up the victory over the Learning Tree and the Death Riders. The Faces cut a promo to open the show. And I thought it was so stupid to have Hobbs standing right next to Edge while Edge talks about being the one to take the championship from Jon Moxley. That, to me, makes Powerhouse Hobbs look so bad. He literally just lost the title shot, and now he's going to stand right next to the guy who says he's going to do what Hobbs couldn't do? Come on. Yeah, the Learning Tree take Powerhouse Hobbs out before the match, so it started out 6-on-5. The match was fine for the most part. It was very chaotic. They all brawled all over the place. The Faces even had a little kid chop Brian Keith. I thought that was funny. But weapons were used. The referee, again, couldn't care less. Marina Shafir distracted the referee at one point so Pac could get involved. And then while the referee turns around, the ref sees Pac involved. And he could not care less. Tell me how that makes any sense. It sets up Dynamite, but how does that make sense where the referee can see somebody who's not in the match getting involved in the match and not do anything about it? Powerhouse finally hobbled down at the very last minute, takes out the Learning Tree. Brian Keith tried to use the Ring of Honor Championship, but Powerhouse knocked it down, hit him with the spine buster, and when the referee turned back around, he pointed at the title as if like, oh, was the championship used? Didn't do anything about that either. And Powerhouse was able to win. This episode of Collision was so predictable. There was not one match where I went in thinking that the other person would come out as a victor. And then you move into AEW Dynamite. I forget, they were in Tennessee. The venue that they were at looked great. I thought it looked unique. It looked very cool for wrestling. And then it opened with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, where Will Ospreay said to Kenny that he came back at a really bad time because Jon Moxley is taking over AEW. And he keeps having to run into the Don Callis family. He can't do it on his own. And then Kenny Omega brought up Forbidden Door and how the last time that they wrestled, Will Ospreay literally stabbed him in the head with a screwdriver just to prove that he was the best to Don Callis. And Kenny preemptively said no to helping Will Ospreay. And then Don Callis came out. Omega by himself ran up to brawl. And he was met with the rest of the Don Callis family. Will Ospreay made the save. Then Kenny Omega made the save for Will Ospreay. You had Archer, you had Cage show up. A lot of people on Twitter were like, this was the greatest opening segment in AEW history. For me, like most AEW segments, this went way too long. It felt like it went on for 20 plus minutes. And it was like I was watching an Anarchy in the Arena match. There was no reason for that. And it ends with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay climbing up a metal thing to lay out a challenge for them versus Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita for Grand Slam Down Under, which is something that they already set up last week. This was such a poor opening, and it only got worse, I think, for the rest of the night. The first match, you had the Hurt Business pick up the victory over Private Party to become the new tag team champions. This was chaotic at times, not what the opening segment chaos was. You had Bobby Lashley put Isaiah Cassidy through the commentary table. Both teams were in the ring at the same time. The referee didn't do anything. It was very hard to follow, and it's very unfortunate that Private Party's title reign lasted less than 2 months. I know people are like, oh, championship reigns can't all be the longest championship reign. But after you have a championship reign like the Young Bucks, where that was a predominantly wasted run, with them being the EVPs in power and control, you have a young team like Private Party, where you would think maybe you'd shoot them to the top with the tag team titles. But as soon as they had that trios match with Mystico against the Maximum Male Models. That was it. That was done. There went their championship reign just then. And I really can't be happy with Bobby Lashley and Shelton winning the titles because of how badly booked and how bad Private Party comes off. People should be up in arms over that. You had Jeff Jarrett come out to speak. He spoke about Jerry Lawler and how Jerry Lawler taught him a lesson about not trash talking and sinking down to your opponent's level, which obviously was alluding to what happened last week with him and MJF. And he said that he and MJF will fight without the cameras, and then moved over MJF to go back to Jon Moxley. And he called him out. Claudio instead came out and attacked Jeff Jarrett. And he said that nobody gets to Jon Moxley if you don't go through me first. And then Jeff Jarrett said, you'll have to kill me, and challenged Claudio for a match where if he wins next week, he will in fact get his championship match against Jon Moxley. This seems a little too soon for me, but obviously, I mean, I don't know. This is all, like, you have Powerhouse Hobbs losing. Edge is trying to get that title. Jeff Jarrett is most likely going to get that title shot. Unless they opt out of having him win against Claudio. Later on, though, MJF came out to interrupt a match. There was an enhancement talent in the ring. Who are you going to interrupt? That's an enhancement talent. What kind of match is that about to be? And MJF was like, I deserve an apology from Jeff Jarrett. Basically saying that there's no chance that Jeff Jarrett wins the AEW championship without him in the corner. And he said that the fans don't love Jeff Jarrett anymore. And he'll find out that it's better to have made a deal with the devil instead of defying him. And then Hangman came out for a match with an enhancement talent. In what world does Hangman Adam Page need to be facing an enhancement talent? And then he goes on, picks up a victory in like a minute against Tyler Shoop. And he hits Angel's Wings on him afterwards. Christopher Daniels came out with a neck brace, and he said that he'll have regret having that match because his doctors advised him to never wrestle again. So Hangman will have been the last person to have beaten Christopher Daniels. I really hope that's not the last match from Christopher Daniels. I really hope. You had Swerve pick up the victory over AR Fox. Fox's last win in AEW on television, or maybe ever, was a tag team match with Swerve against two enhancement talents while they were in that Darby Allin and Nick Wayne feud. But yeah, we'll reignite this rivalry. And Ricochet got involved with scissors. Prince Nana chased him off to the back with pipe. And then after Swerve won, Ricochet interrupted on the Tron. And he said that everyone will be forced to listen to what he has to say next week. And the camera pulls back. He has scissors to Prince Nana's neck. This isn't working for me. I truly hope next week, I said this the other week too, I really hope this like resets Ricochet. Especially after that god-awful Battle Royal. You had Jamie Hayter pick up the victory over Julia Hart. Jamie Hayter controlled the majority of this match. Julia had like a tiny little comeback, but Hayter put her down. Now they're tied because they wrestled a few weeks ago and Julia Hart had won that. I really wish that Julia Hart just won this match and was done with Jamie Hayter, but Jamie Hayter said that when Julia Hart wants match 3, they can have it. So, knowing AEW, it'll take place in a few weeks. After this, a vignette aired about the House of Black being just them now. It's Julia Hart, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, and a little dog. I don't know why this was aired after Julia Hart's loss. The main event saw Edge pick up the victory over Pac. Edge controlled the very beginning of this, but Pac ends up taking over. Worked on Edge's neck throughout this whole match. I think that's a very good thing to have in this match. But Edge finally hits an Impaler DDT. He goes for a spear. Pac jumps over. And he ends up using the Brutalizer to Edge while Edge was standing up. Edge gets out of that. They continue. Edge gets his neck continuously worked on still. But Edge hits a random TKO and wins. Then the Death Riders showed up on the screen afterwards. They kidnapped FTR and the Rock and Roll Express again, somehow. And the Death Riders come out. They beat Edge down. Jay White comes out to make the save. They beat Jay White down. None of this makes me want to tune in. Where was Jeff Jarrett? If Jeff Jarrett's going after Jon Moxley, where the hell was Jeff Jarrett? Where the hell was Powerhouse Hobbs? Where's anybody that wants to get rid of the Death Riders? And how the hell do FTR and Rock and Roll Express allow themselves to be kidnapped twice, 2 different times? It makes absolutely no sense. And like I said, none of this makes me want to tune in. Literally none of it. This storyline does not work. So that's AEW. Hey, Brandon, got any shout outs?
Hi, this is Casey Kasem, and up next on the American Top 40, Brandon shout-outs.
The first shout out goes to A Real Pain. This was all over social media. This was all over the award ceremonies and everything.
What is it?
This is Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. They play cousins. They traveled to Poland for a tour to honor their grandmother who passed away, and they want to connect with their Jewish heritage. Kieran, at times in this movie, I think reminds me of Zach Galifianakis, kind of like his Hangover character a bit, just not as extreme as Galifianakis was. I also thought this was going to be more of a comedy than drama, but to me, it definitely leans more towards the drama with like a sprinkle of comedy. And I will say, despite not being Jewish, Kieran Culkin made me believe he was. I thought he did a very well done job at portraying being Jewish, I guess. And they're on a tour of Poland, and they're going to like concentration camps and stuff. So it is like a heavy topic to discuss, but it is a comedy drama, like I said. It's on Hulu.
How would you? I can't see this being a comedy at all around that topic.
There are moments where there are like comedic moments, but this is literally when we spoke about Kieran Culkin not being mentioned on Monday Night Raw. This is what he had just won the Golden Globe for. I think Jesse Eisenberg even wrote this in tribute to his own grandmother.
Was director. He was the director, I believe.
Yeah, I think maybe director, writer. So I would say check it out. It is, like I said, it's a heavy film, but it does have those like charming comedic moments, though. You had SNL 50 Beyond Saturday night air or premiere on Peacock. It's a 4-part docuseries, obviously about Saturday Night Live. I feel like they could have gotten a lot more people for this. I enjoyed it, but there's only 4 episodes, and they kind of seem out of order. Like, the first episode's all about auditions, so it was really cool to see, like, behind-the-scenes footage, and obviously never aired footage of people auditioning, and then seeing them kind of be embarrassed about their auditions. The second episode, it's all behind-the-scenes behind-the-scenes look about what goes into writing an episode. So it's like the full week going into an episode. And then they randomly do a full episode about cowbell. And then they finally covered Lauren's comeback season and like the lost season, I guess, technically. So I feel like they could have done like 8 more episodes, especially if you're going to do just one episode on the cowbell sketch alone. How does Lonely Island not get an episode by itself?
That's weird that would be a full episode on
like
it.
Lonely Island completely. I feel like YouTube wouldn't be YouTube if Lonely Island wasn't Lonely Island, because that was really one of the very first viral things. I remember when Lazy Sunday aired on SNL. I was watching SNL religiously then in high school. It aired. I went into school that week. Only me and another person like knew what Lazy Sunday was. Nobody was watching Saturday Night Live my age. And then it goes viral on YouTube, and slowly but surely people start talking about Lazy Sunday. Hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see this? They start posting. Facebook wasn't as big as it was. Some people had Facebooks. It started getting posted on Facebook. And that leads to this huge viral video. And it leads to like, oh, hey, SNL might be good again. So I feel like that very much so need. There's a documentary coming out soon about the music of SNL. But if you're doing these docuseries episodes, I just don't know how they didn't do more. But I enjoyed it. It's on Peacock. I'm looking forward to whatever else they have from this SNL 50. I hope they bring Penn and Teller in for the special. I probably feel like they most likely won't, but I feel like they should because they were part of the history of SNL. And then my last shout out goes to Back in Action. Stars Jamie Foxx. It stars Cameron Diaz. It's Cameron Diaz's first movie since 2014. Did you watch it or not yet?
No, I was going to, but I didn't get to yet.
It's an action comedy, and their characters were CIA spies who get pulled back into whatever you want to say they get pulled back into after their identities were blown. Kyle Chandler, Jamie Demetrio, Andrew Scott, Glenn Close are also in this film. It has mixed reviews, but this was like 100% right up my alley. It's a PG-13 film, but I feel like it's family-friendly enough. There's no like dirty jokes or anything. There's no nudity or anything like that. And I feel like that, like you could 100% watch this with your kids.
Nice. Go check it out, everyone.
And it perfectly sets up a sequel, so I hope that happens. I hope more people watch it and enjoy this because these are the kind of movies I like, so check that out. But those are my shout-outs. Now it's time for
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week.
I'll kick it off with Chris going to GCW at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Seeing clips and seeing Super Crazy, Tajiri, Tanaka, and of course, Matt Cardona.
Little Guido.
Little Guido, I guess. I don't know. I guess
The
so.
three
Why
of
not?
them.
Sorry, Guido.
Los Desperados beat Little Guido, Super Crazy, and Tajiri. But like you said, man, it was so cool seeing the three of them team up together. Seeing that at the Hammerstein, by the way. But Super Crazy did that crazy moonsault spot that he does. I think he's, 51 years old? Doing that off the balcony.
51.
Fantastic. You can see Tajiri like smiling. Looks like he's marking out over that. So I thought that was
You can see
cool.
Chris marking out in the video.
Yeah, Chris. Chris's
some of the
video
videos,
is
it's
fantastic. The video that he took of Super Crazy, I don't know if he posted it to Instagram or not, but
It's just incredible.
Fantastic.
Really, really special. I mean, and then I marked out over Cardona's gear.
yeah, dude, he went into details as to what each part of that gear meant. And I thought that was really well done gear if you really look into it.
Yeah, covering pretty much his, I wouldn't say entire career, but most
I
of
guess
it.
technically his entire post-WWE career right now.
Yeah.
Starting with that death match against Nick Gage.
Yeah.
He also was played out to the ring by Downstate. I thought that was really cool. But he had an open challenge. Nobody knew who he was going to be facing. He beat Tommy Invincible. He beat Microman. That was a sight to see. And then, who is his last opponent? Who's coming out to face him? Jimmy Lloyd. Jimmy Lloyd turned on Matt Cardona. To me, in a perfect world, that's his send-off returning to the WWE.
Royal Rumble.
Will we see Matt Cardona in the Royal Rumble? Fingers are crossed for that. I hope so. Maybe this leads to one last match with Jimmy Lloyd where he gets put over again or something. But Jimmy Lloyd got a victory there, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think that could be it, unless he does one more.
In a perfect
and then
world,
the
like I
send-off.
said, it would be
I
Cardona
think that could be
coming
the
back.
send-off right there.
He had Chelsea
But-
on the back of his gear, too. That was pretty cool.
Exactly. I feel like this would be the send-off for it. Yeah, but that's definitely a mark out. Also, a mark out is Bad Bunny on Hot Ones.
Asking what was the exact quote? I forget what it was.
I forgot, but I mean, he is. Do you say that he's one of the? I mean,
well, Bad Bunny said he's
definitely
the
one of the
best
top
celebrity wrestler.
Exactly. What happens if we get Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul?
I mean, that's been sort of marked dreams for people.
I mean, what I feel like I can't see one-on-one, but I could see a tag team match of like Priest and Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul and
Jake.
Somebody else.
Not Jake.
But not who?
Jake Paul.
I can't see. I mean,
Conor McGregor.
I mean, then you also have. Are we ever going to see Conor McGregor and one of the Paul brothers in there? Who knows?
I would say probably,
but
probably not. But
yeah. But
also,
it was definitely cool.
2K has been teasing WWE 2K25 this past week. I mean, we saw the tease on the very first episode of Raw on Netflix. We officially find out. I think we'll probably see a trailer and find everything out by next Tuesday. But they've been dropping hints. They dropped a video. Their tweet first of all, one of the tweets contains like a women and a man symbol or whatever, and it's a video of Bianca Belair. Was it Bianca Belair? No, Rhea Ripley was talking, and she gets cut off by Dominic Mysterio, and it seemed like she was about to talk about intergender wrestling. It seems like intergender wrestling will finally be back in the series. I just hope that it's not just one-on-one, though. That we'll be able to have any sort of match style with men and women facing each other. Previously, for years, it's been just mixed challenges, mixed match challenge or whatever, where you'd get DQ'd if a man hits a woman. So I really hope that intergender wrestling is back in 2K25. They also posted something about it gets cut off. There's an island emoji, and people think that in the NBA 2K series, there's a thing called the City for the story, the My Career mode, which is open roam, I guess, free roam, and you could advance your story in that way, I assume. So people think that this game is going to have the island of relevancy, and it's just going to be an open roaming, free roaming, My Career sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be interesting to see. I'm hoping for like more match styles. They're teasing a showcase too, it seems, for the Bloodline, and I really hope that if they're going to do a Bloodline showcase, I've been saying this for probably 5 years now. If you're going to do a Bloodline showcase, I can't have it just be current Roman Reigns stuff. I need Peter Maivia. I need the Wild Samoans. I need Captain Lou. I need Soul Patrol. I need the Head Shrinkers. I need Paulie Dangerously. I need all those. I need 3 Minute Warning together. I need Superhero in Training Rosie. Haku.
Wow, you're going deep.
Yeah, I need you to start all the way at the beginning. I need to see Rocky Maivia in that Survivor Series 96 gear. I need to see all that. I can't see Roman Reigns 20.
Really asking a lot.
No, but I can't see Roman. I cannot have Roman Reigns 20, Roman Reigns 19, Roman Reigns 18, Roman Reigns 17. It's like the same.
As the Gen Z would say, you are delulu.
Nah, people would be so pissed off if that's what they were getting.
I don't know. Let's take it home.
So that's the Mark Out moment of the week. Thank you so much for checking out Markin Out episode 729. You can check us out on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on both platforms, Twitter and Instagram. You can check out Chris at Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney85, David PTDPT, Facebook.com/Markin Out, YouTube and Instagram at Markin Out 11, ProWrestlingTees.com/Markin Out. TikTok is at Markin Out. Thank goodness we're back. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube, markinout.com. We wish you the iHeartRadio best of luck in your future endeavors.